Hey guys, in this video, I want to talk a little bit about histrionic personality disorder. And the reason I wanted to look at this a little bit is because of the text messages that have just come out between Emily and Amberlynn. We saw some of the messages from Mr. Snowflake a minute ago, right? But now it's like all these messages are being exposed. And I'm just going to say this. This is just my opinion. I watched the video, showing all the text messages and such, and I wasn't surprised at Amberlynn's side of the messages. It represented she was exhibiting behaviors and speaking and writing in a way that I already expect from her. But I was just surprised that Emily actually shared all these. One, because since that, I feel like specifically during the time when Amberlynn was staying with her, people in the community were digging up all sorts of shit about Emily's past. Her ex-person, the person that she was with before Amberlynn, who passed away, may they rest in peace, and the whole community that Emily is attached to, the feeder community, right? And how Emily was like freaking out at the way the community was responding and digging up stuff on her. So, and to see that she's still part of this community, I find that in itself really interesting. I felt like in those messages, like I said, I already expected to see what I saw on the end of Amberlynn's side. But I feel like in those messages, I saw a lot of manipulation on Emily's end. That's just my opinion. I think Emily, just the things I just mentioned, having, that are attached to her as a person, just scream out to me that this is not a person that is okay or right in the head, and there's a reason why they're attracted to someone like Amberlynn. That's all I'm going to say about that. And in one of my, I don't know if it was a tarot reading or a reaction video, but I wish I could remember the name of the person who made this comment. They brought up this disorder, having to do with Amberlynn specifically, because everyone's always calling Amberlynn a narcissist. She may very well be a narcissist. I know she says that she has BPD. Maybe she does. Maybe she has all these things. I don't know. I don't really care ultimately. But I kind of wanted to talk about this disorder because the person who left that comment, if you see this video, please leave a comment, because they're the reason I went initially and looked at this. And I've been meaning to do a little video talking about this for a minute. So the fact that all these text messages came out and everyone's kind of talking about Amberlynn and, I figured I'd talk about this. So, and if I'm mispronouncing this, forgive me, but I believe it's pronounced histrionic personality disorder, or HPD, is categorized by a pervasive pattern of excessive emotionally and attention-seeking behavior. Individuals with HPD typically exhibit the following traits: attention-seeking behavior, a need to be the center of attention, to use dramatic or exaggerated behavior to gain attention, provocative or seductive behavior, and overly concerned with physical appearance. I do feel like Amberlynn, at some point, maybe when they were younger, when they first started the channel up here, maybe they did consider trying to go on a health journey or change their physical appearance, lose weight, basically. But I think once they created their channel, I think the majority of the attention that they were probably getting was from people in a very specific community, like Emily, where I think it just fed that part of her. It changed her outlook. And I think at that point, she really started to look at herself differently and saw there was actually people that were turned on or attracted to how she already looked, and even maybe encouraged her to be the way she is today, look-wise. That's just something I feel. But let's continue. Emotional expression. Rapidly shifting emotions, shallow or superficial emotions, dramatic or theatrical expression of emotions, easily influenced by others, and highly sensitive to criticism. Interpersonal relationships. difficulty maintaining healthy relationships, overly dependent on others for validation, unrealistic expectations of relationships, and difficulty with boundaries. Other traits: impulsivity, um, egocentrism, lack of insight into their own behavior, difficulty tolerating frustration, and dramatic storytelling. It's important to note that not all individuals with HPD will exhibit all of these traits. The severity and presentation of symptoms can vary widely. I apologize for any words that I may have mispronounced, but I definitely think this is interesting. There's shifting emotions, center of attention, erratic emotions, emphasis on physical appearance. And I do think, in her way, she does have an emphasis on her physical appearance. Easily influenced, seductive acts, suggestibility, inappropriately seductive appearance or behavior, vague speech, dramatic and vague manner of speaking, constantly seeking attention, hypersensitivity to criticism, uses appearance to draw attention, constantly seeking reassurance or approval, being flirtatious, such as seductive behavior, self-centeredness, being overly concerned with their looks, disturbed interpersonal relationships, dramatic, impressionistic speech that lacks detail, engaging in impulsive behavior. Being overly concerned with their looks, feeling extremely concerned with how they appear can make a person worried about their appearance. They may frequently check their clothes, hair. I'd like to look more into that. I mean, it does say that you don't need to have all of these attributes to fall into the category, but I think she does fall into that category just on a different, on the opposite spectrum of the scale, right, so to speak. I definitely think this is really interesting and worth looking into when it comes specifically to the disorders that might be connected to Amberlynn's overall behaviors. I actually think this fits more so than some of the narcissistic stuff. Just me.